So we did a question off the top. We'll do this again coming back after 4 o'clock about a study by La Presse. They decided to go ahead and take a look at how young people have changed today versus, I guess, a generation ago or just maybe years ago. And what they found, and it's described this way in the article, is alarming. Yeah, here's just one example, right? So this is a child in school, okay, first grader, and this particular student didn't know how to use a pencil. Never saw one, never had to use one, been on on a tablet or whatever, and then you know how you do, you scroll. Never had a need for a pencil, couldn't use one. Another child given a book, a real live book, and asked to change pages. What do? You swipe. They didn't know how to turn a page. These sorts of things, which don't even sound real, but they are real, and these teachers in the story who were quoted and were given anonymity, because you can imagine what the outcry might have been if we had known who they were from parents. There's something going on, and it's obviously very concerning. These are not little kids in daycare. These are kids now, kindergarten, grade 1, who apparently have not been taught some very basic, what we would call life skills. So what does this mean going forward? Because it doesn't look very good when you read this kind of a stuff, and the headline says, it's alarming what was found out. Corinne Payne is Director General of the Quebec Federation of Parents Committee. She's on the line right now. Thanks for being here this afternoon. I would begin by asking you your reaction to this story in La Presse.
Well, I think it's not just our children. There's a lot of adults as well that do not have some basic life skills that we need. I don't think we should just put the light only on our children. Yes, this report is alarming, but I think we all need to look at ourselves. I think our society is under pressure. I think that's what this shows, and our children are one of the results of this. We need to learn to take care of those the people who are taking care of our children of Quebec, the future of Quebec. To teachers, the parents, I think they're all under pressure, and this is what we're seeing as a result of those caretakers that are looking after children are not taking care of themselves, and nobody is very often taking care of them. And we're seeing these crazy things happening. And it is alarming, and it is reason to reflect on where we're going as a society.
I think you're kind of suggesting here. I'm talking about the kids themselves. And when we asked this question of listeners earlier in the show, the big fault here, of course, would seem to be with parents. I mean, I don't know how you absolve yourself of that responsibility as a parent to teach your child basic skills. So not to have a teacher, as you described it, basically be their caretaker in first grade, for example. That's unfair to the teacher.
I'm not suggesting that teachers need to be caregivers, but I'm saying that parents also need to be taken care of. And there's nobody looking out for the parents of our society today are the parents of the part of the society that are very much under pressure. Both parents are working, and this is not excuses, but it's the reality of the world we live in today. And parents need to be equipped with tools and information. They need to be accompanied. They need to have collaboration. And the school and the parents need to work together to prepare the children of tomorrow. And yes, they're coming into kindergarten, but there was an era when there was other concerns when children were coming into kindergarten that they didn't know. There was a difference between those who had never seen a book or a tablet, and now we're seeing, the effects of tablets for certain children. There is definitely something happening in our society that we're all, and I'm not just saying children, but adults as well, not learning basic skills. We see it with civility. We see it with the level of intimidation, the level of dependence upon screens by adults. There's something happening, and it's not healthy for anybody.
Okay, I kind of get what you're saying, but again, I come back to something like, yes, we understand parents are very busy. It's a very fast-paced world these days. Things are tough. Both parents have to work. But as someone pointed out earlier on, one of the texts I got suggesting, look, if you're not ready to have a child, don't have a child. But if you have a child, it comes with responsibility. Now, it would seem to me that part of that responsibility, if you don't have the time to sit down necessarily and read a book every day or every other day, teaching your child, potty training your child, that's not an option. That shouldn't be on a teacher to have to worry about in a kindergarten class, should it?
No, it definitely, it needs to be, like I said, parents need to be better equipped. They need to be informed. If we talk about the screen time, okay, a lot of parents do not understand and have never been informed about what the effects of screen time are. It's a concern of public health that we need to inform parents of what the effect of screen time is, what are the effect on the development of their children. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, like you said, the various examples that you gave, parents need to be responsibilized, but they need to know what their rights are, they need to know what their responsibilities are, and they need to have the information. And when it comes to children entering school, there needs to be a collaboration between the school and the parent, so that they can all work together to best accompany every child that enters the school system.
I'm thinking as you say this, if I think back a generation ago, in raising kids, this all seemed to be a basic. No, we didn't have to be as parents trained to do any of this. You taught your child how to do up his or her shoelaces or put on a coat or, do any of that, what we would call basic stuff. Are you saying parents today are not doing that because why? They just don't have the time to do it? They need help in figuring this stuff out to teach their kids?
I don't know. I come from a generation of parents as well when we we had to teach our children how to do all these things.
Yeah.
I don't know what's causing it, but there needs to be the study of what the effects are, but there needs to be the study of the causes. And we're talking about the effects now of what we're seeing with the children. But I think we need to study what is happening with the parents of today that is causing these what we're seeing, these results.
Well, you work with a parents committee. What do you hear from parents?
That parents are the parents that we work with on a day-to-day basis are supporting their children. They're doing everything that they can to support their children. It's an ongoing struggle to always be, I think, on top of what are the latest information, what are the latest statistics. And there's not a lot of people that talk about what the parents' needs are other than us. And even us, the parents that are there representing the parents, we're usually representing what our children need, but nobody is really asking what do the parents need to best support their children. And I think that's where our society needs to ask questions. The saying goes that the devil is in the details, but I think the devil is in the communications and the information that is being provided to parents. We all have our children in a hospital in Quebec. We're given that little book for the first 2 years. But what happens after the first 2 years? There is no guidelines. And these children that are entering the school system right now, a lot of them lived through the first 3 years of their lives during an epidemic. Mm-hmm. It was a completely different time frame. They had very little socialization. So there's a lot of different things that are affecting this. Last January, we did a national study with the University of Sherbrooke, and inquiring as to what is the score on quality of life. And as a Quebec, we had 14,000 parents respond in a period of 2 weeks last January 2024. We scored 64 out of 100 on quality of life for parents and children. That should be alarming as well. There's something not right in our society. 1 out of 5 parents is saying that their mental health is fair to poor. That's not right. There's something that's not right in our society. And we see it in all kinds of other things as well. There's adults in this society that are doing things that we would never dream of doing in another era or another time.
As I'm sitting here trying to think, okay, if I take you at this point about we have to help the parents here too, who's that responsibility on? I mean, does government need to somehow get involved here? We're talking now about a situation where, you won't be able as a student to have a cell phone in your classroom. Someone called when I first asked the question, said, never mind the students, we need to get teachers off their cells and tablets as well because they're on when the students aren't. And that's a bad example as well. Is that part of it?
Every adult should be setting the example for our children. And I mean, it's not just the parents, the children in school. We've seen it with, the protection de jeunesse. Like what's going on there is crazy. I'm dreaming of the day when Quebec will be crazy about its children and doing what's best for its children. And that's not what I see right now. And definitely not what they're doing what's best for their parents. They're just putting parents with young children under more and more pressure. And this is the causes of those realities of what's happening on a day-to-day basis in our society. It's crazy, road rage and people not being able to answer properly and answer the phone properly, and people who do not know basic, like, thank you. Like, when somebody says thank you to you now or opens a door for you, it's like, oh, wow. But, those were things that were taken for granted for many years in our society, that you would be just basic politeness. But it seems to have gotten lost somewhere along the way.
What a grim picture we have laid out here. Okay. Corinne, I thank you so much. Yeah, that's just the reality of it. You're right. I kind of got off topic, but you're right. There has been a wide societal shift, and obviously not in the good way. I thank you so much for the time.
We all need to look in the mirror, Mr. Wren, and ask what's our part in this.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we all have a part in this, no question. Corinne, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You have a great day.
You too. Corinne Payne, Director General of the Quebec Federation of Parents Committees. She has a point.